Welcome back, realvacantland.com. This is Luke Smith, and today I'd like to ask you if you're prepared for the current market change we're experiencing. I've been doing a lot of data, I've been looking at lots of trades, lots of properties in multiple different markets, and I'm always learning, right? It's taking a drink of the Kool-Aid. I'm learning and learning, and I see trades, I see things that happen. I'm like, ooh, how'd they pull that off? And I try to go reverse engineer them and figure them out. And so I keep seeing that. And over time, as I've studied lots of different trades and lots of different deals to try to emulate them and create more, I see trends in the data. And 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, looking at the historical trade of a lot of these properties, a specific type of property, this, house goes here in this area, zoning of this kind or something like that, something really specific, these sizes, these parameters. And you go back in time and look at the recorded, trading history of these things, trying to come up with price and how I could model them out and how I could figure them out. And sometimes it'd be 20, maybe 30% of the population has traded in recorded history. It's like the digital in the databases, I can see what it traded for, 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago kinds of stuff. And a lot of the rest of it, it's just been owned in families for a long time and hasn't traded. There's no pricing information. Those are the ones I'm usually reaching out to and trying to buy, right? But in the last couple of years, especially the last year, like, because we have all this COVID information, the volume went boom, like this, it went zing. And so in some of these areas, it's not 20% in recorded history, it's 20% of the properties in that population have traded. And it's like, holy cow, that's a lot of them. Some of them 25% or something. It's like, how does that happen? How do we go from such little nothing volume in vacant land to such huge, preposterous, gargantuan volume? Um, Demand, technology, all kinds of things. There's lots of inputs. The markets change, right? They change through COVID. People want to get out and go buy these things, and it's changing even afterwards. We've got, faster internet, more access to work from home and move out to the countryside or move away from prices that we don't like or regulations that we don't like and go pick up land that we want and go for it, right? And so that revolution is happening. You can see it in the data, you can see it in the markets, and it starts in one place and it ripples to others. And getting ahead of that or getting involved in it or swimming in it, I think creates a lot more trades, a lot more opportunities for everybody involved. So I wanted to jump into a little screen. I did some research. This is kind of an ugly background, but the idea is more beautiful. So this was North Carolina. I just pulled this up a couple minutes ago. I looked up the trade volume of properties between 0.25 and 3 acres. Why? These are the little ones. So the little guys are up on the top. This is like house goes here, residential land, and my data sets that were residential land kinds of coded properties with nothing on it, just vacant land. And so in 2019, these things were like 3,400 trades in North Carolina for the year. And then it started going. Then COVID took off, and we got close to 6,000, and it went up to over 6,000, and then it kind of plateaued. I mean, it's this 2023 had more than 2022, which is pretty amazing. Not much more, but more. And the volume we're doing here is multiples of, pre-COVID or, 5 years ago stuff. And the little bit bigger properties on the bottom, this is the list, the chart isn't as, doesn't stand out as much because this thing waters it down. But we're almost double out here. Last year, this year, it's more this last year than the previous year, and we're almost double from 2019. So the volume's going up in the bigger ones. This red line was like 4 to 11 acres, and the other one was quarter acre to 3 acres. So my point is the volume's going up. Even recently, even after this COVID stuff and the 2023, it's still holding out and going up. It's not dropping off. Like if you look at different areas, so that was North Carolina. This is Arizona. I did the same thing in Arizona. And this is a statewide, and I'm usually looking at like little areas of a state or a specific market, and it's different data than doing the whole state. But the whole state for today's talk. I did the same thing, 0.25 acres to 3 acres and 4 acres to 11 acres. And so the smaller ones in Arizona took off like a rocket, 2019, 2020, 2021. Up here, they did a hair more, in 2022, and then the volume started dropping off. It's still way higher than it was, and if you go back in time, extremely higher than it used to be. And the larger acreage, the 5 and 10 acre ones, I mean, it dropped off in volume the last year too, but it's still way more than it was historically. Now, what does this mean? In some areas, the volume, the demand is not holding up the volume and prices are changing. In other areas, it is. And so, do we want to be in the areas where it's changing price wise and volume wise to the downside, or do we want to be in the areas that's going to the upside? I mean, usually you want to be buying stuff when the wind's at your back and going forward, right? But I mean, if you buy it at the right price or make it at the right price, I mean, you can make out in either market. So, there's multiple ways of looking at this. Um, but I think there's a lot of ways to take advantage of this, take advantage of these markets. The beautiful part of this market is the volume. You know, we got volume going crazy. And so if we can make it, if we can find it, if we can buy it, if we can get it in front of the market, we can sell this stuff. And that's the problem with my website right now. We don't have much of any inventory because the stuff just sells and sells, you know. So people keep calling and asking for properties. Well, working on mailers, we've been sending out a lot of mailers. We're going to send out a lot more. If you want to get involved in sending mailers, I'll put a link in the description below or look at some previous videos I made. Um, but it's the hobby farms and the properties around town, you know, good sized properties that people can buy and go build tomorrow, or even properties that they want to, you know, go build on today. And I think studying the splits to make them, where are the regulations okay to make it the easiest to split these up, where the demand is happening. We've got all kinds of artificial intelligence tools to do that right now. I mean, let me throw another example on the screen. I've been playing with this so much, guys. Like I got a super shortcut. It was Google Bard, but now it's Google Gemini. I mean, you guys have used 100 of these different tools by now, right? But let's say, so we got the little thing in here. Let's just put in, how do I split land up in San Diego? I'm not saying San Diego County is a good one. Split land in, but you know, you could stick this in here and they're going to give me some example. But if you do this in the counties, different counties and different states where there's different regulations, it starts coming up with, this is coming up with eligibility and requirements. Okay, you have different regulations, and it starts breaking down the regulations and go check here, call these people, talk to these people, make it happen this way, that way. And as you get more precise with, this is Google Gemini or others like it, you say, well, what about this kind of zoning in this county or this kind of zoning in this city? How many acres can I split this into? How much road frontage do I need to have? Do I have to have septic pre-approved? Do I need sewer lines there? Does the road need to be paved? Does it need to be this? Does it need to be that? What requirements am I going to run into? And the AI stuff starts spitting out all kinds of examples of what you're going to need to do. And it's not going to do it for you, but it sure helps you with the research a lot more to compare one county to the next. And when you look at the set of rules in one county, it's like a phone book, and next door, it's like, we don't have zoning. And as long as you have this and that requirement met, you can make it this, you know, 4 more or 5 more properties. And you just get it drawn up and hand in the survey. Like, here's some new lots. So some of them are a lot easier than others. And it's a lot easier to figure out which ones those are with tools that we have today. I mean, that's part of today's market. And I don't think I'm the only one doing that. The software to do that is getting amazing too on multiple different levels, of seeing zoning and seeing some of these layers of information to slice and dice the properties. So I think it's time to, one way to take advantage of this market with the volume, it's time to make more land. Everybody says they're not making any more of that, but I mean, yeah, but they're taking a piece of land and they're cutting it up into multiple ways. They're making more uses for the same land, and we can make more uses for the same land. We can copy others that are doing that out there. We can use their surveyors. We can use, you know, see what their stuff's selling for in the markets. We can go do it better. We can buy this stuff at lower prices. We can split it up fast, sell our lots at lower prices, make bigger spreads out of it, do more splits, do it in a systematic way. Or maybe they bought one off the market, so we could go buy a half dozen of them off the sidelines and bring them, invite them to the markets and go make them happen. So if you're interested in these kinds of plays and these kinds of ideas, I'm working on a secret project. I'm calling it a secret project because I'm not disclosing the whole story of it yet. But if you want to get involved in this next project I'm working on and be involved in helping influence this project, we would like to ask some questions. So I've got an email put together called team@ruralvacantland.com. So if you would send an email to team@ruralvacantland.com, say I'm interested in secret project, we'll get in touch with you. Team will reach out to you, like to ask some questions, and we'd like to invite you to a webinar that I'll be hosting and putting on in the future. It's a live webinar, the Q&A questions. Feel free to bring questions. We'll talk about land. And in this webinar, I would like to take a good looking project, land deal, and reverse engineer that project to emulate going to ask for more of them and the process of doing that and how I would do that. And I'm willing to take projects from the audience or maybe ones that I feed. We'll figure out the exact information as we get to the webinar. And part of that is asking some questions. So if you would send an email to team@ruralvacantland.com, we'll ask you some questions. We'll try to customize this webinar to you more and make it good engagement. I think we can all learn and go off of there. It's free. Why not give it a try, right? And so thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. This is Luke Smith, ruralvacantland.com. See you in the next one.